The silent response. The stars trembled as the Viraxian war fleet emerged from the void. Massive obsidian vessels with crimson energy signatures spread across the edge of human space like a plague of locusts. Their formation was perfect. Hundreds of warships arranged in the traditional Viraxian death blossom pattern that had heralded the end of 12 different civilizations. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Drazik watched the holographic display of human territory with cold, calculating eyes. His gray-scaled skin reflected the red emergency lights that had activated across the entire sector the moment his fleet arrived. "Open a channel to all human frequencies," he ordered, his voice deep and resonant. "Let them hear their fate." His communications officer, a younger Viraxian named Kelva, nodded and pressed a series of glowing symbols on her console. "Channel open, Supreme Commander." Drazik straightened his imposing frame and looked directly into the recording device. "People of Earth and her colonies, I am Supreme Commander Drazik of the Viraxian Empire. Our dominion spans 1,000 worlds, our military might unequaled in 12 galaxies. You have 24 standard hours to surrender your planets, resources, and technology. Resistance is not merely futile, it is suicide. Those who submit will be permitted to live as subjects of the Empire. Those who resist will be erased from existence. Your time begins now." The message transmitted across all human communication networks, interrupting broadcasts, appearing on personal devices, and forcing its way into every corner of human-controlled space. In the Council of Galactic Species, representatives from dozens of alien civilizations watched in grim silence. Most had already sent their condolences to the human ambassador. The Altaran delegate, a tall, willowy creature with luminescent skin, spoke softly. "The humans have courage, but they are young. They do not understand what it means to face the Viraxians." The Drexian representative nodded, his crystalline features catching the light. "We warned them to strengthen their defenses. The Viraxians have never been defeated." In the center of the council chamber, Earth's ambassador, Dr. Elijah Kothari, sat alone at the human delegation desk. His face betrayed no emotion as he watched the giant screen displaying the Viraxian fleet. The other ambassadors expected tears, pleas for help, or desperate diplomatic maneuvers. Instead, Dr. Kothari simply tapped at his communication device and said nothing. "Ambassador Kothari," said the council president, an ancient Cetulian with wisdom etched into every wrinkle of his blue face, "what is Earth's response to this ultimatum?" Dr. Kothari looked up, his dark eyes unreadable. "Earth will respond in due time, Mr. President. But surely you must see that immediate negotiation is your only option," insisted the Altaran delegate. "The Viraxian fleet outmatches your defenses by factors of hundreds." A small smile touched the corners of Kothari's mouth. "We are aware of the Viraxian capabilities." With that, he stood, bowed respectfully to the council, and exited the chamber, leaving the alien representatives murmuring in confusion. Hours passed. The 24-hour deadline approached its halfway mark. Across human space, civilian ships had been ordered to dock at the nearest stations. Military vessels seemed to vanish from their usual patrol routes. The expected diplomatic response from Earth never came. On the Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Drazik grew increasingly uneasy. "Still no response from their leadership?" he asked Kelva. "None, Supreme Commander. Their military communications have gone almost entirely silent. Civilian channels are still active but contain no official response." Drazik's clawed hand tightened on the arm of his command chair. "What are their fleets doing?" "That's the concerning part, sir," Kelva replied, her voice lowering. "We can't locate them. They've disappeared from our scanners." "Disappeared?" Drazik stood abruptly. "That's impossible. We cataloged every human military vessel before our arrival. Their technology isn't advanced enough to hide from our sensors." "Nevertheless, sir, they're gone. The only ships we can detect are civilian vessels and space stations. Their military presence has vanished." Drazik paced the bridge, his tail swishing in agitation. They must be hiding. Prepare advanced scout vessels. I want every asteroid field, gas giant, and moon in this sector scanned. Yes, Supreme Commander. 12 Viraxian scout ships detached from the main fleet and accelerated toward the interior of human space. Sleek and fast, they were designed for reconnaissance rather than combat. They spread out across different vectors, scanning everything in their path. None of them returned. 6 hours after their departure, the lead scout's emergency beacon activated for precisely 3.4 seconds before going silent. 2 hours later, another scout managed to transmit a partial message. Something's in thee, before it too disappeared. By the 20th hour of the ultimatum, all 12 scout ships had vanished without explanation. In the council chamber, the alien representatives watched the situation with mounting concern. "This isn't like the humans," said the Drexian delegate. "They're fighters. They should be rallying their fleets, making passionate speeches about freedom and determination. This silence is uncharacteristic." The Ultraman delegate nodded. Perhaps they have accepted their fate and are preparing surrender terms. The council president wasn't convinced. "I studied human history. They don't surrender easily, especially not with their homeworld at stake." At that moment, Dr. Kautheri returned to the chamber. He walked calmly to his seat and activated his console. "Ambassador," the council president addressed him, "your deadline is nearly expired. Has Earth formulated a response?" "Yes, Mr. President," Kautheri replied. "Earth has responded." He pressed a button on his console, and the main display in the chamber changed. It showed a real-time tactical map of the Viraxian fleet. As they watched, a small vessel at the edge of the formation suddenly vanished from the display. "What was that?" demanded the Drexian representative. "That," said Dr. Kautheri quietly, "was a Viraxian warship being destroyed." On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, alarms screamed to life. "Supreme Commander," Kelva's voice cracked with urgency, "the Vigilant Claw has been destroyed." "Destroyed? How? By what?" Drazik demanded, rushing to the tactical display. "Unknown, sir. There was no warning, no detected weapons fire. It simply disintegrated." Drazik stared at the display in disbelief. The Vigilant Claw had been a destroyer-class warship, heavily armored and shielded. Nothing could have destroyed it so completely without some sign of attack. "Full alert. Shields at maximum. Deploy fighter squadrons for perimeter defense." The Viraxian fleet shifted formation, creating a defensive sphere with the Eternal Dominion at its center. Fighter craft poured from the hangar bays of the larger vessels, forming a protective screen around the capital ships. 2 more Viraxian vessels disappeared from the tactical display. In a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, Admiral Helena Chen watched the same tactical display with grim satisfaction. Around her, dozens of officers monitored various systems and readouts. "Project Phantom is performing beyond expectations," reported Captain Marcus Reynolds, her second in command. "The Viraxians still haven't detected our micro-singularity torpedoes." Admiral Chen nodded. "And the Nova-class stealth cruisers?" "In position and undetected, ma'am. They're ready to deploy the quantum mesh network on your command." "Good." Admiral Chen studied the display. "The Viraxians are adjusting their formation, defensive configuration. They're confused, but they'll adapt quickly. We need to accelerate our timeline." She picked up a secure communication device. "This is Admiral Chen. Authorization. Prometheus awakens. I repeat, Prometheus awakens." Across human space, hidden installations hummed to life. On distant moons, beneath the oceans of colony worlds, and in the heart of supposedly abandoned asteroids, weapon systems that had been concealed from the galaxy for decades activated in unison. Back in the council chamber, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence as more Viraxian ships disappeared from the tactical display. "How is this possible?" whispered the Ultraman delegate. "Human weapons technology isn't advanced enough to penetrate Viraxian shields." Dr. Kautheri's expression remained neutral. The human military operates on a need-to-know basis, and the galaxy didn't need to know. The council president leaned forward. Ambassador, are you saying that humanity has been concealing its true military capabilities from the council? Not concealing, Mr. President. Simply not advertising. There's a difference. More alarms sounded on the bridge of the Eternal Dominion. Supreme Commander Drazik watched in horror as his perfect formation began to disintegrate. Warships were disappearing at an increasing rate, and still no enemy vessels appeared on their sensors. Sir, Kelva's voice was tight with fear. We've lost 23 ships in the last 10 minutes. We can't determine the attack vector or weapon type. Drazik slammed his fist down on the console. This is impossible. Where are they? How are they doing this? As if in answer to his question, a message came through on all Viraxian frequencies. A human voice, calm and measured. Viraxian Fleet, this is Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. Your time is up. You claimed your fleet was unbeatable. We disagree. Stand down immediately, or we will continue to demonstrate exactly how wrong you are. Drazik hissed in rage. Open a channel. When the connection was established, he spoke with barely contained fury. This is Supreme Commander Drazik. Show yourselves, humans. Face us in honorable combat instead of hiding like cowards. Admiral Chen's voice remained eerily calm. Commander Drazik, we are not interested in honorable combat. We are interested in efficient defense of our territory. Your invasion fleet entered our space with threats of genocide. We are simply removing that threat in the most effective manner possible. You cannot defeat the Viraxian Empire. We have conquered 12 galaxies. Then perhaps, replied Admiral Chen, it's time someone taught you humility. The communication ended. Moments later, the space around the Viraxian fleet began to shimmer. Hundreds of small objects appeared, surrounding the fleet in a three-dimensional grid pattern. What are those? Drazik demanded. Analyzing. Kelva responded, her fingers flying across her console. They appear to be some kind of network device. They're generating a field of sum. The tactical display suddenly went blank. Every sensor on the Eternal Dominion died simultaneously. The Viraxian fleet was blind. In the darkness of space, the true human response finally revealed itself. Ships emerged from stealth. Vessels unlike any the galaxy had seen before. They were sleek and black, absorbing rather than reflecting light. They moved with impossible precision, converging on the now vulnerable Viraxian fleet. The battle had begun, and humanity was winning. The awakening force. Supreme Commander Drazik stared at the useless tactical screens, his mind struggling to process the rapidly deteriorating situation. Throughout his 3-century military career, no enemy had ever managed to blind a Viraxian fleet. It was supposed to be impossible. Restore our sensors, he roared. Switch to auxiliary systems. We're trying, Commander, Kelva replied, her voice strained. But whatever they've deployed is blocking all scanning frequencies. It's like the space around us has been turned into a sensory dead zone. Through the massive viewports of the Eternal Dominion's bridge, Drazik could see flashes of light in the distance, the death throes of his ships. Without sensors, without communications, the mighty Viraxian formation had devolved into chaos. Launch all remaining fighters, he ordered. Visual confirmation protocols. If they see a human ship, they attack. Fighter craft poured from the hangars of the remaining Viraxian vessels, their pilots relying on visual identification rather than targeting computers. They accelerated into the void, searching for the enemy. What they found defied explanation. The human vessels moved like nothing the Viraxians had ever encountered. They didn't travel in straight lines. They seemed to bend space around themselves, appearing in one location before instantly shifting to another. Their hulls absorbed weapons fire without showing damage. And they were everywhere. From her command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Helena Chen monitored the battle with clinical precision. The quantum mesh network had performed exactly as designed, creating a localized disruption field that rendered Viraxian sensors useless while allowing human ships to navigate unimpeded. Phase 2 is ready, Admiral, reported Captain Reynolds. The Prometheus vessels are in position. Admiral Chen nodded, her eyes never leaving the holographic battle display. Begin Phase 2 and open a channel to the Council of Galactic Species. In the council chamber, the representatives watched in stunned silence as the human ambassador's console chimed with an incoming transmission. "Mr. President," said Dr. Kothari, "Admiral Chen wishes to address the council." The council president, still trying to comprehend what he was witnessing, nodded. "Put her through." A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, a human woman in a crisp military uniform, her silver-streaked black hair pulled back in a severe bun, her eyes dark and penetrating. "Distinguished representatives of the council," she began, her voice calm but firm. "I am Admiral Helena Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. I apologize for the disruption to this session, but I believe it important that you witness what is about to occur." The Altaran delegate rose, their luminescent skin pulsing with agitation. "Admiral, what exactly are we witnessing? How is humanity capable of this level of military action? Your technology appears to vastly exceed what you have shared with the Council. The technology you're seeing has been developed in secret over the past 50 years, Admiral Chen replied. After observing how the Council handled previous Viraxian incursions into other species' territories, Earth determined that we needed to be self-sufficient in our defense. The Drexian representative's crystalline features flashed with indignation. "You deliberately misled the Council about your military capabilities." "We did not mislead," corrected Admiral Chen. "We simply did not volunteer information that wasn't requested. The Viraxians have built their empire on fear and the perception of invincibility. We chose not to give them advance notice that their assumptions about us were incorrect." She turned slightly, speaking to someone off-screen. "Proceed with Project Prometheus." In space, the battle took a dramatic turn. From behind Earth's moon emerged a vessel of impossible proportions. It dwarfed even the Eternal Dominion, stretching nearly 15 kilometers from bow to stern. Unlike the sleek, predatory designs of most human ships, this behemoth was clearly a carrier of some kind, its hull dotted with thousands of launch bays. As the Council and the remaining Viraxian fleet watched, the massive ship opened like a blooming flower, panels sliding away to reveal a glowing blue core. "What you're seeing," Admiral Chen explained to the Council, "is the UESS Prometheus. It's not just a warship, it's a mobile manufacturing and deployment platform for our autonomous defense systems." From the Prometheus poured countless small objects, each no larger than a human hand. They streamed out in perfect formation, creating a vast cloud that expanded rapidly toward the Viraxian fleet. On the Eternal Dominion, Supreme Commander Drazik watched through the viewport as the cloud approached. "What are those?" he demanded of anyone who might answer. A tactical officer who had been studying the objects through an old-fashioned optical telescope replied. "They appear to be some kind of drone, Commander. Millions of them." "Drones?" Drazik scoffed. "They're too small to carry any meaningful weapons." His dismissal proved catastrophically premature. As the cloud of microdrones reached the Viraxian fleet, they began to organize into intricate patterns around each ship. Where the patterns completed, Viraxian vessels simply ceased to function. Weapons went offline, engines died, and life support systems began to fail. "They're not weapons," realized Kelva, watching through a portable scanner that was partially functioning. "They're networked technical systems. They're hacking our ships." In the council chamber, Admiral Chen continued her explanation. "The Prometheus carries over 2 billion nanodrones, each containing a quantum processor capable of interfacing with and overriding most known computer systems. They are programmed to disable rather than destroy when possible." The Zetulian Council President leaned forward, his ancient eyes wide with astonishment. "Admiral Chen, this technology represents a paradigm shift in warfare. Why has humanity kept such capabilities secret? Because, Mr. President, throughout our history, humans have learned a painful lesson. Visible strength invites challenge, while hidden strength preserves peace. She paused, letting her words sink in. We had hoped to avoid demonstrating these capabilities, but the Viraxian Empire left us no choice. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, chaos reigned. Systems were failing throughout the ship as the microdrones attached themselves to the hull, infiltrating through maintenance ports and sensor arrays. "Commander," shouted a junior officer, "we're losing environmental controls. Life support is failing deck by deck." Drazik stood amid the mayhem, his mighty frame illuminated by the emergency lighting. For the first time in his long career, he felt something unfamiliar, the cold grip of defeat. "Send out a general recall," he ordered, his voice subdued. "All remaining ships are to concentrate fire on that human carrier." But the order came too late. The Viraxian ships that still had functioning weapons found their targeting systems overridden, their energy cannons powering down. The mighty invasion fleet, terror of a dozen galaxies, had been neutralized without destroying a single additional vessel. A communication signal penetrated the electronic warfare blanket surrounding the Eternal Dominion. On the main screen, Admiral Chen's face appeared. "Supreme Commander Drazik, your fleet has been disabled. Your shields are down, your weapons offline, and your life support systems will fail within the hour. I am offering you one chance. Surrender now, and we will restore your essential systems and allow your crews to live." Drazik's scaled skin darkened with rage. "The Viraxian Empire does not surrender." "Then the Viraxian Empire will die here," replied Admiral Chen, her voice utterly devoid of emotion. "You have 5 minutes to reconsider." The screen went blank. Around Drazik, the bridge crew looked to him with desperate eyes. The temperature was already dropping as environmental systems failed. Kelva approached him, her usual deference tempered by urgency. "Commander, we have 40,000 crew members on this vessel alone. The humans have demonstrated they can destroy us at will, yet they're offering terms. Perhaps." Silence. Drazik hissed. "No Viraxian commander has ever surrendered. I will not be the first." "With respect, Commander," Kelva persisted, "no Viraxian fleet has ever faced an enemy like this. These humans, they fight differently. They don't seek glory in battle or victory through superior force. They simply solve the problem of our existence with cold efficiency." Drazik fell silent, contemplating her words. Throughout the history of the Empire, warfare had been conducted according to certain understood principles. Fleets met in space, matched strength against strength, and the superior force prevailed. Honor came from victory, shame from defeat. But the humans weren't playing by those rules. They hadn't met the Viraxian fleet in traditional combat. They hadn't sought to match ship for ship, warrior for warrior. Instead, they had systematically dismantled the very foundation of Viraxian military power without exposing themselves to significant risk. It wasn't cowardice. It was calculation, a completely different approach to conflict. As the minutes ticked by and the bridge grew colder, Drazik made the most difficult decision of his life. "Open a channel to the human admiral," he said quietly. When Admiral Chen's face reappeared on the screen, Drazik spoke with formal dignity. "The Viraxian fleet accepts your terms of surrender, Admiral Chen. We request restoration of life support systems." Chen nodded once. "A wise decision. Commander Drazik, your life support will be restored immediately. Prepare to receive boarding parties who will oversee the permanent disabling of your weapon systems." "And then?" asked Drazik. "And then you will be escorted back to Viraxian space with a message for your empire. Earth and human colonies are forever off-limits to Viraxian expansion. Any future incursion will be met with the complete dissolution of your government." The transmission ended. True to the Admiral's word, the environmental systems began to function again moments later. Warmth returned to the bridge, and with it, the crushing weight of what had just occurred. the first defeat of a Viraxian fleet in over 600 years. In the council chamber, the alien representatives were still trying to process what they had witnessed. Dr. Catheri stood to address them. Distinguished representatives of the council, today's events have demonstrated a fundamental truth that humanity has long understood. True strength lies not in what your enemies can see, but in what they cannot. The Viraxian Empire believed us weak because we did not parade our military might before the galaxy. That misconception has now been corrected. He paused, looking each delegate in the eye before continuing. Earth does not seek dominion over other species. We do not wish to replace the Viraxian Empire with a human one. All we desire is to exist in peace, to trade and learn and grow alongside the other peoples of the galaxy. But make no mistake, we will defend that peace with every resource at our disposal. The council president spoke after a moment of heavy silence. Ambassador Catheri, I believe I speak for many here when I say that our understanding of humanity has been significantly revised today. The council would welcome a full briefing on your species' defensive capabilities at your earliest convenience. Dr. Catheri smiled slightly. With respect, Mr. President, I'm afraid that won't be possible. Some secrets must remain just that, secret. Not because we distrust the council, but because uncertainty is sometimes the strongest deterrent to aggression. Across human space, citizens who had been preparing for the worst received news of the Viraxian surrender with stunned disbelief, followed by jubilation. In homes and colonies throughout Earth's territory, people celebrated the victory, unaware of just how close they had come to annihilation, or how thoroughly their military had prepared for this moment. In her command center beneath the mountains, Admiral Chen finally allowed herself a moment of relaxation. She sank into her chair, accepting a cup of coffee from Captain Reynolds. "Do you think they'll try again?" Reynolds asked, looking at the holographic display where the disabled Viraxian fleet hung in space, surrounded by human vessels. "Not for a very long time," Chen replied. The Viraxians built their empire on the belief that they were invincible. Today, we shattered that belief. It will take them generations to recover from this psychological blow. And the council? They'll want explanations. Chen sipped her coffee thoughtfully. They'll get some. Not all. Humanity learned long ago that in a dangerous galaxy, it's best to keep your strongest cards hidden until they're needed. She stood and walked to the window that overlooked the vast underground complex where thousands of technicians and officers continued to monitor the situation. Below her, in a massive hangar, sat row upon row of advanced vessels and weapon systems that had never been deployed, contingencies for scenarios even worse than the one they had just faced. "Today," she said quietly, "we showed just enough of our hand to end one threat. The rest remains our secret, until the next threat appears." As the Viraxian fleet limped back toward their territory under human escort, word of their defeat spread rapidly throughout the galaxy. On countless worlds, in countless languages, the same message was repeated with awe and not a little fear. The humans are stronger than they appear. Much stronger. In the darkness between stars, humanity's watchers remained vigilant, unseen sentinels guarding against whatever might come next from the depths of space. For they had learned through bitter experience that peace was not a natural state of the universe. It was something that had to be created and defended, sometimes at great cost. And humanity was prepared to pay that cost, again and again, for as long as the stars themselves endured.